Hello everybody, Grizzly Pig here. Welcome to today's episode, and we are looking at a sniper rifle piercing light. If you're wondering how to build this, then I'm here to help you because I put together a list of what I think is one of the most effective ways to get this sniper rifle. So what I will say just before we get into anything is this video, like the last one, is going to be split into chapters, so you can skip where you need to for the parts that are relevant to you. And the reason I'm doing this video right now is because on the Ultimate Lepic guide I did, someone put in the comments at Tim Klein 162, shout out there for you, can Sharen do a one hit kill with any sniper rifle, or do you really need piercing light? My problem with her is I keep dying with all of the ads when cloak wears off. Now of course that is a big problem because I get the same as well, simply because if you are building Sharen for stealthing, you don't have any room for any survivability mods, especially if you're just using her for utility. And this is especially true of bosses with large armor and HP pools, for example. And to be honest with you, a lot of the time if I'm deciding where to go for a blueprint, if there's a boss with a 3-tier HP pool that has balls, for example, I will quite simply put that into my evaluation on whether it's worth doing or not. Very often I will choose not to do it because it's just too much aggro to do those bosses. But in short, yes, you can do these with other snipers, and I would recommend, if you want to get a quick sniper, then the epic ones, Forest Gaze and Recipient Unknown, are great choices because they have quite high attack power. That's to say that in one shot they deal higher damage. You're not looking at DPS with snipers here. If you're trying to one-shot things, you're just looking at the attack. But the great thing about piercing light is that it has the highest base attack value of all the snipers. So piercing light is effectively hitting for about 50% more damage than Forest Gaze, for example, with a base value at level 1 of 404 compared to Forest Gaze 280, I do believe. So piercing light is a great choice and a great weapon to go for, but not just because of that. There are other reasons that this weapon is so great, and we're going to look into that right now. So you can see here we've got some examples of what piercing light can do, and while we're watching these quickly, I just want to say I appreciate the support, guys, in the last video with Ultimate Lepic guide. Really nice to see people's comments, what they thought of it. I really do appreciate the support. Please like, subscribe and leave a comment if you find these guys useful. It really shows me whether or not the content I'm doing is worthwhile or not. So let's quickly have a little look at why piercing light is very good. There's a number of reasons apart from it just having very high base attack that we're going to look at. Now, as you can see, what we're looking at on the screen is what piercing light looks like at base level 1. That is its unique ability, purification of light, versus what it looks like fully upgraded at tier 4, and you'll need 5 of these guns in total. 1 is your gun you're going to use and 4 of them to imprint onto it to get it to level 4. So let's have a look now. So we're reading, on hitting a weak point, inflicts dispel on the enemy with a set chance. So dispel is basically we're going to be removing buffs. Okay, so this could be absolutely situational, but very useful nonetheless in some certain places, could be invaluable. When 2 or more enemies are hit by a single shot, because that's what sniper rifles can do, the bullets can go through enemies depending on their penetration, there is a big chance to land a critical hit on the enemies while also increasing critical hit damage and applying this buff to the attack. So basically this gun is really shining when you're hitting a group of mobs all together. But the reason penetration is important, and a lot of people don't know this, and you can see it on the screen now, we're going to read it. It says, indicates the strength of rounds needed to penetrate a target. Resistance varies depending on the enemy's size and determines strength reduction after penetration. Okay, so basically what this is the larger an enemy is in size, the less likely it is going to be that when you hit it, the bullet will pass through it and be able to do damage to mobs behind it. But with piercing light, you can see on its base information there, and this gets higher as it gets up in level, not only do you reduce your recoil by 40%, but you get increased penetration from 180% to 340%. So that's going to increase the amount of mobs we're going to be able to hit with this and pass our bullets through. Okay, so moving on to the next ability here, Dispel. Trigger rate 50%. When it's level 4, it's 100% chance, and the duration and the remove buff, they don't change there, but basically a full level there, you're going to be 100% removing buffs from what you're hitting, if that's what you need from this. And then moving on, nextly, so when you hit 2 or more targets with Piercing Light, firearm critical hit rate is 100%. So if you just use this for this particular thing, you don't need to build crit rate. The sniper rifle's got good crit rate anyway, but it also gets firearm critical hit damage 6% as well, so that's quite a nice little juicy add-on as well. So there you go, this is why Piercing Light is such an amazing sniper rifle. You quite simply can hit like a truck with this single target or groups as well. One thing I will add though, there is a downside and I hope they fix it. It could be a bug or something I'm not understanding, but if you do this to towed enemies, that's after using the suction grenade that Lepic has, and you shoot the massive targets you've got in the area there, sometimes it just does not register at all. I don't know whether it's desync or what. Maybe you guys know, and discuss it in the comments. That would be very interesting to know anything about that. So hopefully something is fixed with this, or we can shed some light on it. So how do we get Piercing Light? Well, as you can see, again, I've made you an amazing graphic on how I got Piercing Light, the materials that I hunted to get all of the parts to make this. And I'm just going to quickly say, before we get into all of this, the purple items that you need, the materials, I will post in the descriptions again how you get them. I don't want to cover them in the video. They're pretty simple. I will tell you the places that are most effective to get those in the description. And also I'm going to leave you a link to a Reddit post, and I will credit the person who made this. There is also a like a spreadsheet on how to get the void shards you need to open the void fusion reactors that we're going to, because we're going to need a lot of void shards here. So I'll post that in the description, and a shout out to those guys there. Thank you very much for this, it's very useful. So as you can see, we are going for 3 places where we are going to be using Sharen potentially to get the amorphous materials. Please note that you don't need Sharen to do this. You can just go in with your best Descendant, best damage Descendant, and blast all of the terminals on these. But if you want the best chance of getting as many quickly as possible, then use Sharen, because she has access to both loot tables. Then these are purple amorphous materials, which means that they're on the primary loot table and the secondary loot table, as opposed to the legendary ones where the odd ones are on the second loot table only, and the even ones on the first loot table. So just remember that Sharen is an optional for this, but it will be quicker. Another thing I want to add as well, please guys, feel free to screenshot this and put this in like a notepad or paint or whatever, and then if you are out farming, and since you need like 5 of each item here, you can see I've put 5 check circles next to each of the pieces, so that if you decide you want to go and get one of each piece and then research one before you go and start working on the others and be frugal with your time, you can do that, and then you won't lose track of how many you've got and over farm one, for example, because I've done that before for sure. So let's start off with the first 2 pieces here. So we're going to go to outposts in the fortress and the sterile lands there. You can see exactly where you got to go, and they both end up in the void fusion reactor. Very good chance to get these from the drop there. It shouldn't have too much of a problem getting 5 of each of these pieces. Now the third one we're going to look at is going to be only a 6% chance drop. It's the same thing, exactly the same as the other 2, but I'll tell you why we're going for this one instead of maybe one that drops like a 32 or 38% chance. And the reason is this. So there is a 15% chance one, but it takes you to the Albion Defense Resources mission, that's where you have to defend the giant can thing in the middle. and it's just like, if you get a good group and you're lucky with it, well done. But it's not time effective to go here. Just getting the amorphous materials can take an extremely long time. I am going to try in future with this to do like a Valby build that's going to maybe be able to do this a lot easier, but getting her tanky enough and enough damage for it, maybe not really an option at the minute. If you just want to get straight into this, we're going to avoid that mission. Secondly, there's another outpost that takes you to one in the hard zone, and the boss there quite simply isn't feasible to farm solo like quickly, so I've ruled that one out. That's number 91, that pattern. We're not doing that. And then there's pattern number 125, and the reason we're ruling that out is because it takes us to hard boss Molten Fortress. So for accessibility for most of you guys, maybe not having done hard Molten Fortress, although I haven't done it yet, we're avoiding that one. And the reason that this is the one I've chose as well is if it wasn't so easy to get this one, this is pattern number 21, then I would totally rethink everything. But this is the absolutely easiest outpost to do. You can farm it like so quickly. It's done in 30 seconds. The barrels are super easy to get done. There's only 3 of them, and the boss is literally a one shot with a sniper. Any sniper will do, even the most rubbish one you've got. Or you can even just take it out really quickly with an assault rifle, still not a problem. I just semi-AFK'd this like in private and just did it whenever it come up, and I got like 30 patterns pretty quickly. You can probably do that within an hour, getting these, watching YouTube videos or whatever you fancy on Netflix. And then once you've got 30, then you're going to farm up your void shards and then go over to the void fusion reactor. For 30, I have got 3 of these before with a 6% chance. You also can get the stabilizers for this, increasing the chance to 10%, but that's if you're extremely lucky, and even then it's not guaranteed at 10%. But this piece here, this is going to be the piece that takes you the longest to get, but this weapon is worth it for sure. Anyway, the last piece here, we're going to take a break from going to the strategic outpost, and we're going to jump into Kingston Hard, the Slumber Valley. I'm not going to show you any footage of this. I'm not going to show you footage of the boss it takes us to, either Hard Executioner, simply because I did that in my last video in the Ultimate Lepic Guide. If you want to go back there, revisit that and see the footage of me doing it, then go ahead, feel free to do it, but you're not going to see it here. What I am going to do is show you footage at the end here of me doing the Vulgar Strategic Outpost in the Echo Swamp, so you can see that. But as you can see here, all of these pieces, apart from that one, have a very good drop rate, and they're all extremely easy to get. Another thing I will say, that last piece there was a bit of a toss-up between whether to do the dungeon for that pattern or go to this place instead. So the Kingston Normal Fallen Theatre Vulgar Strategic Outpost will get you pattern 001, and again you can use Sharen to double your chances here, and this is slightly better if anything actually, because the pattern has a 38% chance to drop. It just means the things on the lower tier table, so like the 15%, 6% and 3%, they have a lower chance than pieces that have a 32% chance. So you might value this more to go and get rather than go to the Slumber Valleys. But the reason I put Slumber Valleys as my primary choice is just because otherwise it would have just all been strategic outposts, and for my sanity I knew that I just would not be able to take that, so I thought I'd just mix it up and do some dungeon as well. So yeah, that's it. And again, that ends up in a Void Fusion Reactor in Kingston, so super simple. So this is also a viable option. Do this one if you would prefer, if you just want to stick to the outposts. So yeah, that's it guys, and as I said, I'm going to leave you with the footage of me doing the strategic outpost in the Echo Swamps and the Void Fusion Reactor as well. And if you found this useful, again, please guys, like, comment and subscribe. I'd really much appreciate it. Thanks a lot, and I will see you next time.
Like toxic